Okay, I'm going to show you a charting app, and this is Sky Safari Pro, and this shows you how the stars move in the sky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you basically two locations here. I'm going to show you the location from the North Pole first. This is latitude 90, which means you're in the North Pole. Now, when you're in the North Pole, what would happen is if we zoomed out to have like an all-sky camera, this is not set up right. Let me go back in. I'll say use current location. I'm going to go back up here and correct it again. Say 90 degrees latitude. Done. Okay, now when we look at the zenith here, this zenith point up here, I'm going to zoom in on it for a minute here. The zenith point is really close to this star here called Polaris, which this is the central location that our axis of the Earth is pointed toward. In a and if I was looking at the zenith, if I had a somewhat wide of an angle camera, let's say I'm using something that's giving me say let's say 70 by 50 degrees, fairly wide angle, wide lens, and I was looking straight up at the zenith, and I was playing to see star trails, to see them move. I would see that the stars are moving in a counterclockwise way. If I was using this camera and it wasn't very pulled back, now if I had an all-sky camera that was looking for meteorite trails or something, it might show me the entire sky all the way down to the horizon. But a lot of times people don't take images with a super wide angle lens like that. They may use a fairly wide angle lens, like for instance this right here is pretty wide angle, but they might even have it in closer, so you're going to have maybe less fisheye effect, and you'll see parts of the sky. They may not aim it right up at the top of the sky. They may aim it down toward the horizon, which is what I'm showing here. I can actually add a horizon also, but this line here, which I'll move to the center for a minute, this line here is the horizon, but we're just being able to look through the Earth. We don't really see it painted in, so we can actually see below the horizon, above the horizon. So from this location we can see all these stars, and if we aim up a bit and we're including the horizon with kind of a wide shot, what we'd see is the stars in the bottom are moving a little bit faster than the stars on the top. Why? They're forming like an arc, and this arc is showing that they're rotating around the North Star. If we zoom back, we'd see that, but if we were taking a wide shot, say like this, we would see them all going from the left to the right because of the way the Earth is spinning. So all these stars are moving from the left to the right. So this is in the north. If I was in the North Pole, and they would spin around this in this direction, the stars generally, they're going to go in this direction because I'm in the north. So I'm looking up away from the center of the Earth, looking up in the north, I'm seeing the stars rotating around the north. Now in a flat Earth model, all stars would rotate in this direction. They'd keep going from left to right when you look straight up. The thing is though, we're going around a globe. We're actually physically on a globe. So when we go, I'm going to hit stop here. I'll just hit the now button to bring us back to the current time, which is February 11th at 9 p.m. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into the settings here, and I'm going to look up here. I'm going to select this latitude, and I'm going to show a negative 90 degree latitude and say done. Get out of there, say done. Okay, so now I'm in the southern celestial pole, and when I look straight up at the zenith, here's the zenith mark, which is above us. If I was in Antarctica at the South Pole, I would be looking up and I'd see the zenith and the stars circling above the zenith. And if I took a time-lapse photo, I would see them circle it. But if I was taking a photo of the aurora, a time-lapse of the aurora, and I had a regular lens, and I wasn't using a super wide-angle lens to show the entire horizon, then I would be zoomed in, and I might want to show the horizon. So where's the horizon? Well, here's an example of horizon right here, right? So there's the horizon. And so I'll pull out a bit. We'll show the horizon. And we're going to hit play and watch the stars rotate. Now if you look, the stars are moving at the bottom near the horizon. They're moving from right to left. They're not moving from left to right. They're moving from right to left. And you can see that the arc, the ones that are closer to the bottom of the screen, are moving at a faster rate than the ones in the top. Why? Because as we go toward the top, if we were to pan up off the screen, off of our animated shot of, say, that was on the YouTube video with all these stars curving in this arc-like path, if we were to look up, we would see they would be all circling the zenith, or the pole, the southern celestial pole up there, and they would be circling it in a clockwise manner. Whereas if there was no horizon and we could look straight through the Earth, simulating moving to the northern pole, since I don't have the horizon, since I don't have the ground being mapped in this thing, although I could put that in here, what happened is they'd move in the opposite direction when you're on the other side of the Earth, because you're being pulled toward the center of the Earth, right? So here we go. I'm going to just show you real quick, instead of going to the North Pole, what happens when we look at the North Pole. See? Look. Here's the nadir point. It's the opposite position. So this would be the zenith if I was in the North Pole. The stars are going in the opposite direction. They're going this way. Why? Because the Earth is rotating, and my base being pulled to the center of the Earth is showing this location. So relative to the Earth's spin, the stars are moving like this. Basically, it's like geometric relativity, really, if you want to look at it that way. Okay, so now, for the stars to spin in an opposite direction on a flat Earth model, if you can understand 3 dimensions, which most flat earthers don't really understand the basics of 3 dimensions, which is kind of an amazing thing. But apparently they don't want to. They have a bias against 3 dimensions. Then you would notice that basically in a flat earth, any kind of flat earth situation where they're trying to explain how the stars go in the reverse way, like this, where they're going opposite. Here they're going, this is the North Star, you can see the North Star. Here is the South, and the stars are going in the opposite direction. This is why the motors for an EQ drive in the south, aiming at the southern celestial pole, has to spin in the reverse direction. And a flat earth map, in a flat earth theory of where you're just moving out along and supposedly these stars are lost by perspective, which is bizarre and warped in some bizarre way, the spin would never change. They would all be going this way. They'd all be going in one direction, no matter where you were on the Earth. So any flat Earth model that you would build could not show the star spinning in both directions. But as you can see, you need a wide, to see it circle, you have to aim straight up to see the star circle in that way. Also, I want to show you something real quick. I'm going to move slightly. I'm going to move the camera a bit. As this thing is going, I'm moving the camera a little bit, right? I'm actually panning the camera to the left. So the stars are kind of going to the right because I'm moving the camera to the left, although they're circling the other way. If I move the camera, if I move the tracking mount, if I don't have it fixed on a position in the horizon, right now we'll say it's SW, right? Then the rotation won't appear to be happening in the right direction. So you can't create these tracking things for revealing landscape stuff. You can't have mounts that move slightly, and some of these companies sell these things, which will make interesting reveals of the landscape as you're tracking the star trails in the background, and it can cause the star trails to look kind of unusual. But when you have a fixed camera and you are taking a shot at the sky, you'll see these arcs always around the northern and southern celestial pole, depending on which side of the Earth you're looking at. If you're on the equator, you can look up or down. You could look up or down. You'd see them traveling, and you'd see them traveling accordingly. They would appear to be traveling counterclockwise in one direction and clockwise in the other. And the thing is, if you were to have like a weird optical illusion, like there's this one thing, I call it Flat Earth Concept 2.0, where they try to say that there is a lensing system that creates a weird lensing, and it makes it look like the stars are moving in the opposite direction with some kind of a refractive lensing system that uses electromagnetism. That really won't work, because for them to actually go in opposite directions on both sides, you would actually have to, the refraction effects would cause the stars to actually travel in opposite directions, and you would see them actually separate. They would actually separate. The constellations would actually split at the equator position. So stars would be going, if the flat Earth reality was real, the stars would literally, if there was some kind of an illusionary effect, it would still break the constellations apart. And the ones on the top and the bottom would be going in opposite directions from the optical effects to try to create an how can I put it? It's a relativistic lens system that this one guy suggests, where it's like a relativistic lens system that occurs with electromagnetism. It's a bizarre construct in computer reality that he's trying to create in a model, but it doesn't exist in the real world, and it can't. And he doesn't understand that. So that's it for now.